Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So we've talked a lot about the midterms and a lot about the Senate races that are coming up in 2026, but we haven't spent a lot of time talking about the primaries, which are coming up a lot sooner. The first primaries are going to be taking place in like 9 months. It's never really too early to start talking about them. And we have a new poll out of South Carolina, where Lindsey Graham, who Trump endorsed but still has a lot of problems with Donald Trump's base, and I understand why Donald Trump might want to endorse some of these weaker incumbents because he's somebody that is trying to pass his agenda through. And he has a lot of people that are sticking their thorns in his side. And if he has more of them, he's not going to get much done. But that doesn't mean the voters themselves can't hold some of these people accountable. And when it comes down to it, Lindsey Graham is somebody who has a lot of problems with the base, and you're seeing it in this recent poll. And I wanted to cover it, and I also wanted to cover the most likely senators that we should be focusing on either primarying or at least giving them a run for their money, because I understand that some of these people are going to win anyways because it's very difficult to take out an incumbent senator. However, there are a couple of them that are uniquely vulnerable and could end up losing. So it's not like we aren't going to be able to walk out of this without any sort of victories. But I think that it's important to look at this poll and understand Lindsey Graham, he is underwater. He is very underwater in South Carolina, and he doesn't have like a high-profile challenger. But if you look at this poll, when they polled a generic challenger, 45% either said probably they'd vote for the challenger or definitely would vote for the challenger. Only 34% support Lindsey Graham and 21% are undecided. When he's polled head-to-head with the one challenger who's relatively low profile, who announced his run, Graham is at 48, Lynch is at 23. A lot of undecided voters that don't like Graham in this sample said they would vote for a challenger. So it is very possible that Lindsey Graham could have a competitive primary, and he's not even seen as like the most vulnerable like rhino this cycle. And also Trump in the South Carolina approval poll you see is above water, not by a ridiculous amount statewide, but at the same time, it's mainly the Republican primary sample that needs to be focused on here. So we'll analyze some of these races that could have these vulnerable rhino incumbents, and we'll see if we'll be able to have a shot to remove them in the primary process. But first, have to tell you guys about our latest sponsor over at Chalk, because our country just witnessed Donald Trump overcome political persecution, an assassination attempt, and the entire deep state to retake the presidency with a historic win. There's one secret ingredient that allowed Donald Trump to do this, and that's testosterone. What most people don't realize is that testosterone makes men willing and eager to take on challenges. Sadly, too many of us have lost our fight, and that's exactly how the globalists want it. They want men weak, out of shape, and full of estrogen and microplastics with low T, which is why we're excited to partner with Chalk. Chalk offers a whole lineup of products formulated to increase your energy, focus, detoxify your body, and clinically studied boost testosterone. Ingredients in the Chalk Male Vitality Stack have been clinically studied to boost free testosterone in 87% in just 21 days. Unlike with gimmicky vegetable pills or powder, you will feel the difference, and they have the clinical studies to back it up. And right now, you can get 25% off your Chalk subscription for life. Just go to chalk.com, spelled CHOQ.com, and use the promo code REDEAGLE. That's 25% off any subscription for life with the promo code REDEAGLE, and you can cancel at any time. The link will be in the description and pinned comment down below. So Lindsey Graham vulnerable in the latest poll from Qantas. On top of it, we have to look at the Senate map here because this is crucial. Because a lot of people will say, let's primary Susan Collins. And Susan Collins is one of the weakest Republicans in the Senate. But here's the deal. She's from Maine. Maine is a state that has not voted Republican at the presidential level since the 80s, not counting the 2nd District's electoral vote. She is going to probably end up winning the general election, and you would be wasting your time energy, and resources trying to elect a liberal Democrat in Maine. That's not worth our time and resources, whether you like Collins or don't like Collins. That's not the point. Also, Mitch McConnell, he would be atop this list if he was not retiring. He probably would lose a primary. Thankfully, he's retiring. So we have to focus on the ones that we possibly could get, and we will start here with the state of South Carolina, as we covered, because Lindsey Graham is somebody that when you look at this, he is not polling that well. There was another poll that had him at 43%. If you get below 50, you force a runoff in the state of South Carolina. So you definitely have a problem if you're Lindsey Graham. And South Carolina is a state that has given incumbent Republicans a run for their money, even if they've been endorsed by Trump in years past. So could somebody like Lindsey Graham lose a primary? It's entirely possible. I'm not saying he's going to, but at a minimum, I think it's important to understand that if he only wins by like 5 points in the primary, it sends a warning sign to him that you better shape up or you're not going to, win a primary ever again, assuming he would run for another term. And that's also important. We've seen plenty of people barely win primaries over the years, and then their voting record shapes up instantly. We've seen it in the House. We've seen it in the Senate. We've seen it all over. So Graham is one of them. I don't know how gettable he really is, but giving him a little scare might be what he needs to really shapen up. And South Dakota is another one. You have Mike Rounds, who is weak. He's not really that solid either. We understand that. He has faced primary challengers in the past. We don't know if there's going to be one. There's no polling on this race, but it is definitely a state where you see these like outsider challengers do relatively well in primary. South Dakota and North Dakota, we've seen it. And if Rounds is given a run for his money, again, that's somebody who might understand that, the center of gravity's moving. I got to shape up. I got to improve my stances, improve my voting record, etc. So I don't end up losing a primary in the future, because these people care about if they're able to be reelected first and foremost. And if there's going to be a microscope under them in their every move, then they're going to know that they'll have to answer to their constituents. It's the power of the primary. And North Carolina is shaping up to be a relatively competitive Senate race as expected. It is a swing state in a midterm year when Donald Trump is president. It still is a state where Republicans should probably have the upper hand, but Tom Tillis is somebody who is not that electable and is not that solid. And that is a combo that is not very good. In fact, we've seen polls with him getting decimated by Laura Trump. If she were to run, I don't believe she would, especially as it was rumored that, she was possibly interested in being senator of Florida. Having that like two-state thing typically doesn't pan out too well, and I don't think she really would like to run and risk that, at least not this cycle. But when you look at Tom Tillis being polled versus somebody else actually wins. Now, Mark Robinson is an atrocious candidate in either the primary or the general. He should not be the face of this primary. I don't know who will be. But if it comes down to Tillis and somebody else out there, Tillis is just doing everything he possibly can to lose. He's not really backing Trump's agenda, but the left is not, going to really give him any breaks either. He doesn't understand that. And when it comes down to his ability to unify the primary electorate, when he's getting 31%, that's not very good overall in the state of North Carolina. And this is another state that does indeed have a runoff. So when you look at this, it's like, is anybody else that's really all that notable going to run for it? Michelle Morrow has publicly expressed interest. Is she going to do it? I don't know. But regardless, it's important to watch. I do think that there is a drawback to the point where if Tillis won a primary, but he's got a fractured field, it could hurt him in a general election. Although the primary does, I believe, take place earlier on in the primary cycle, to the point where I don't think it would matter much come November. If he's given a little run for his money, and it could kind of show him his blind spots for the general election, I still think he wins the primary anyways. But I will say that these next two are very vulnerable, and I think you could even make the case they're favored to lose their primaries. One of them is Bill Cassidy in Louisiana. He voted to impeach Donald Trump, and he is somebody who has just voted against some of, Donald Trump's, or at least he was verbally opposing some of Donald Trump's appointees for his cabinet. And when it comes down to it, he's just been anti-Trump, and he's just beholden to Big Pharma as well. He's somebody that's relatively corrupt. He's an establishment Republican through and through in a state that voted for Donald Trump by over like 20 points. There's no reason for Bill Cassidy to not be primaried, and they got rid of this jungle primary system because you have a governor that's actually doing his job in the state of Louisiana, to the point where whoever wins the primary is going to end up winning the general. And you look at some of these polls, I don't know if that's a Cassidy internal, but it shows him at 45 to 18 that he has the upper hand. But there's been other polls that have him losing to Clay Higgins, losing to John Fleming. So overall, he is very, very, very vulnerable. We'll see who ends up running for this race when it's all said and done. But he's priority number one. And I could see Trump endorsing a challenger to Bill Cassidy as well. That's one of those possible races where I could see that. But still, without the Trump endorsement, I still think a challenger could end up knocking off Cassidy. So here's the big one, and it's a big state with a big competitive primary, the state of Texas. And this primary is an early primary for sure. But you look at this primary, and it is shaping up to be a tough one between Ken Paxton and John Cornyn. John Cornyn, he's got the establishment backing in the Senate. Donald Trump appears to be staying out of it. And then you have Ken Paxton, who is the very solid attorney general of the state of Texas. And he's going out there and he is mounting a challenge, and he's winning every single primary poll, sometimes by a decisive margin. Now, there's rumors that Wesley Hunt might get in the race. I don't know why he would. It's kind of getting late, and Hunt is polling in third place in every poll. So I'm not entirely sure what he would be trying to do unless he's trying to help force a runoff. And I think you could make the case that it wouldn't really matter because Paxton is beating Cornyn head-to-head in every single poll, sometimes by quite a bit. They've released these scare tactic polls for the general election where they have, and it's Brad Parscale, of course, he has Colin Allred beating Ken Paxton by 15 points. I mean, that is ridiculous in the state of Texas, where you have a state that voted for Trump by 14 points, and then they would turn around and elect a Democrat who lost on that same ballot by close to 10, that they would elect them by 15 points over a Trump-aligned America First Republican. It's absolutely ridiculous. They're trying to scare the voters. And there was another poll that came out that had Paxton up by 2. They only have Cornyn up by 4. I think Paxton would end up winning by over 5. I think Cornyn might win by more in a general election, but it's not worth it having somebody so weak that's also in leadership, mind you, in the state of Texas. If you vote for gun control in Texas, usually you're cooked. That's kind of the way it is. Even if you're a Democrat, you're going to struggle. Well, when it comes down to John Cornyn, that's exactly what he did, and he might lose. So you have plenty of possible opportunities to either put pressure on these rhinos to vote correctly or to actually get rid of these people in the case of Bill Cassidy and John Cornyn. We will see what happens, guys, as the midterm primary cycle continues, and it is approaching sooner than a lot of people think. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle out.